What's shaking, bacon? Hope you guys are all doing well. My name's Bruno Panucci. I've been doing this way of eating, this carnivore diet for the whole year now. I've been doing a lion diet since September, so it's been 4 months solid, actually 3.5 months solid of this lion diet. And I'm doing it to see if I could repair my metabolism. Now, this is the challenge I've given myself, and I'm doing these bod pod and DEXA scans to measure my lean mass and my body fat percentage as I move along with this, with a 15-minute exercise window with circuit training. So I'm going to ask you to excuse me because today's video is being shot really late in the night, and I'm actually not going to spend nearly as much time editing this one as I normally do. So let's get into this update. Getting my thyroid tested. I had my blood tested today. So in the next couple days, I'll have results to see if my thyroid has indeed been impacted, hopefully for the better, doing this lion diet. It's common that people's autoimmune disorders start to get better. And I did this once a few years ago for a short window of time, and my thyroid did indeed get better. My medication dropped by 20%. So I'm interested in seeing how much progress I can make with it this time around. Now, if I can do that and I can get it down to 50% better or 75 or 100% better, then I'm really going to stick with this for quite a while. But I'm going to see how this lion diet goes because I've been doing carnivore all year. It hasn't made an impact at all on my thyroid. But I think I've been showing some symptoms of hyperthyroidism. My eyes have been tender, been getting kind of double vision. I've had some chest palpitations, very light. I know the difference between that and a heart attack, so no worries. I've had a heart attack, so I know what that feels like. And this is the same as it was the last time my medication got lowered. That was back in 2018 or 2019. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a shot again, and I'll know better because I lost 9 pounds of lean mass last month. That doesn't make sense when you're doing exercising while getting about 300 or 400 grams of protein in a day. And this exercise has been weight training. The topic of this video, though, is can you do the carnivore diet on a budget? Is it an expensive way of eating? It sounds expensive, a lot of meat in your diet. Well, who can afford that, right? Now, if you're getting grocery store meat, you're getting steaks, even at places like Costco, you're going to be paying on average somewhere between $13 to $18 a pound for different steaks. So yeah, you can spend a lot if you're getting steak by steak individually for your meals. But really when it comes down to it, ground beef, and I'm living in Ontario and about an hour outside of Toronto, and a T-bone steak before these COVID prices have jacked everything up, you're usually paying about $18 a pound for something like a T-bone or a prime rib. If you look at the price per pound when you get a grass-fed, antibiotic-free, hormone-free cut of steak, you're paying $1 or $2 more on top of that typically. Now you can get these steaks on sale in the mornings. Quite often it's like they're getting close to their best before date, so they want to get rid of them. So often you can get stock early in the morning and pay maybe $12 a pound, and they bring it down 30% or 50% of the price. So going to a grocery store in the morning, first thing in the morning, is a good way to get some good sales. And even if they're not advertised sales. So you really have to know your prices when you're doing this way of eating, because you can pay a lot of money per pound. You can go to some places and pay, I've seen chicken breasts go for $9, $10 a pound at different places. Now, when you know your prices, you can get chicken breast for just a few dollars a pound. If you don't mind deboning your chicken breast, you can get it for even less than that. So when it comes to red meat or pork or just any type of meat, you really have to do your legwork. I mean, what makes this affordable for me is I make ground beef my staple. When I get a whole half a cow, I'm only paying $4.60 a pound. Now, that's all in weight when it's hung. So that's going to work out to be probably about, for half a cow, probably about 120 pounds of ground beef or so. I usually try and get a fattier cow, a bigger cow. So that's at $4.60 a pound. Now, I use all the bones. My dog loves chewing on bones. I use it for bone broth. So there's really not much wasted because people will argue you're paying for a lot of things you can't use when you're buying a half a cow. But you can use all those organs. I give the bones to my dog. My dad takes the organs. I have all the cuts myself. So if I have a T-bone, my dog's getting that bone afterwards. I'm happy with that. I'd rather my dog be on a natural diet too. So at $4.60 a pound, you don't mind having T-bones all the time. And you don't mind having all these really expensive cuts of steak like filet mignon. So, there's a cut of steak that'll go for $33, $34 a pound easily. So sometimes you can get these things on sale, and I have some clients that's their favorite meat. They always wait to get it on sale. Now I have a big appetite, so this can get to be a really expensive diet if I don't watch myself. When I go for wings, I can easily have 4 or 5 pounds of wings. That's not a challenge for me. So I have to watch when I eat out how expensive it can be. Wings can be on the more expensive side. You can get bacon. You can spend a lot on bacon. I've spent $11 a pound on bacon. I kind of got suckered into it one time. I went to one of the most expensive places in town and spent $11.50 per pound on bacon. And I already had it in my hand, and I found out how much it was. I was like, but I did it anyway because I was really craving bacon at the time. But when you buy bacon, you can look around for some sales and get it for like $3.50, $4 a pound. So you have to start paying attention to the prices. Now, if I'm having on average 4, 5, or 6 pounds of meat a day, and I use ground beef as my staple, now I'm looking at quite a bit of money there, right? So 5 pounds of beef times roughly just under $5 a pound, that's $25 a day. So that can get expensive. Now, you can argue $25 a day isn't really a lot to feed yourself. Now, if you eat out a lot, you can spend that just on one meal. You can spend half of that just on, say, a breakfast or lunch. But I will also look for, on top of the fact that I get my beef at half a cow at a time, grass-fed, antibiotic-free, hormone-free, I also buy ground beef at the grocery store when I see it on sale. I've been doing that more this last couple months, and I get it for $3 a pound right now, and those are COVID prices. So $3 a pound's quite a bit compared to, I used to pay, say, $2 or $2.40 a pound. On average, I'd say a good $2.40 a pound. And if I'm having 3 or 4 pounds of meat a day, that's not that much, right? We're even at $3 a pound, that's only like $9 or $12 a day. So it's actually an affordable way of eating. Now, when you have children, it can kind of start to weigh on the budget. You're thinking, I got to cook meals for my kids and I got to cook meals for me. But don't forget, you're not eating all that other stuff. And quite frankly, vegetables and fruit are really expensive. So what everyone thinks meat's the expensive product out there, pound for pound, you're paying more for that other stuff. You want to have a salad every day and you want to put a few ingredients in that salad, you're going to be spending quite a bit of money on that salad, and it's going to leave you hungry. So I'm interested in this food because I'm so satiated. I could have a few pounds a day and be satisfied every day. And I'm thinking in the new year, I might even drop down to 2 or 3 pounds a day, probably 3 pounds a day tops, and put myself in a bit of more of a caloric deficit, because I'm not trying to go into a deficit now. My challenge isn't about being in a caloric deficit. It's about putting on lean mass. And that's coming up to an end soon. And now that this last month got screwed up in November, with, I believe, my thyroid being out of whack, and I lost 11 pounds, 9 of which was lean mass, as I've said before. It's not that I'm abandoning trying to put on lean mass this month. I'm still keeping up with my exercise and my way of eating, but my month's results are going to be screwed up if indeed it was my thyroid that was getting better. But that's like losing the battle but winning the war, because if the side effect of what I'm doing is raising my metabolism and helping heal my thyroid, then it's a win. Ground beef is one of those things you can cook easily in a pan while everything else is cooking if you're cooking for your children. So it's not like it's even a lot of extra work. You don't have to really tend to it. You just have to stir it every now and then. Cook it at a medium-low temperature, and you don't even have to pay much attention to it. So it's not labor intensive. I do all my meat sous vide for the most part when I'm having my steaks. I find that's just the best way to go. I've tried air fryers. It's okay. I know people who are too carnivore love their air fryers, but I think those people just haven't had a good taste of sous vide. That's where you put the meat in a bag and you put the bag in the water, and there's a wand that goes in the water with a thermostat to it, and it brings the water up to a certain temperature. So you can actually cook this meat. Say you want medium rare and you want to cook it at, say, 135 degrees, you can cook it for 1 hour or 10 hours. It's never going to go past medium rare. And then you take it out, pat it down, and you sear it. And I just sear it in a pan lately. Now, I did have a flamethrower I was using, and I'm going to put that on one of my videos because it's quite, frankly, fun to use. It's a little handheld flamethrower. It's not a little butane torch. It's got a flame that's like a good 2 feet long. So yeah, it's a fun thing, but in the winter, it's going in the pan. And that's how I'm going to be searing all my steaks. So, I find what I'm doing is having ground beef for every 2, 3, or 4 days straight. And then every now and then I'm throwing a nice steak or two in there. And I find if I really enjoy the steak, the next day I even make another steak too. So I have no shortage of steak. I just put all my meat in the freezer, and I have a nice deep chest freezer, and it's just really affordable. And it's nice having all that food on hand, quite frankly. When it comes to wings, you can buy your own wings. Lots of people who aren't doing just the lion diet, but just regular carnivore. I can buy wings at $3.50 a pound. Well, when I go to a wing place, I can easily pay $14 a pound for wings. So to bake them in your own oven or cook them in beef tallow is really affordable, especially if you bake them in your own oven. So you can get them nice and crispy, and you just have to trim them up a little bit yourself, but it's worth it. A little bit of work. Some people just don't like working with slimy meat, and I get that. But you don't need a batter to cook wings. You don't need a batter at all. So find the cuts that you like. Always go for well marbled beef. That's one of the big differences when it comes to the quality of meat. You want to get it fatty. You don't want a thick layer of fat on the outside so much as the nice marbling on the inside. So that's the one thing you have to look for with beef. When it comes to fish, fish is just expensive any way you get it, unless you're literally fishing yourself. So, and then it's time versus money at that point, right? But if it's a hobby you love doing, then go crazy with it. But for the most part, it can be a very affordable way of eating. And it often is for most people that are pretty regular with this and seasoned with it. And especially if you're worried about being on a budget. Now, where it gets expensive for me is when I get busy and I eat out a lot. So doing the strict lion diet, I'm not eating out very much at all. Start paying attention to prices if you don't already know your prices and your cuts, and start finding places that sell good quality beef and look for sales. And ground beef is a great staple. It's one of those things you always worry about, is how much is something like this going to cost? There's a few first thoughts that go into your mind when you hear about this way of eating. Are you going to poop? How's your digestion? Is it healthy? What's going to happen with your cholesterol? And isn't that really expensive to do? Well, it turns out you don't need to worry about all those things. So you have enough fat in your diet that you don't have to worry about your digestive system at all. I always had constipation when I was young and all through my adult years, and that's gone now. That's completely handled. So when it comes to the nutrition end of it, you do your research and you're going to find out there's actually nothing wrong with this. And when it comes to the expense of it, it's actually more affordable to eat this way. And that would catch most people off guard until you break it down. I hope you enjoyed this video, and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're interested. I'd like to get up to at least 100 subscribers in the near future, and this would be a wonderful project to work towards. It'd be nice if not only I get to learn from this experience, but you could learn from this experience as well. And come January, I'm going to be doing my new challenge, and I'll be getting into more detail about that. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you take care.